Hey everybody, it's Monster back again with Opus Gaming, and I'm here today to bring you some more Battle Spirit Saga content. This is going to be a playtesting match between me on Red TerraNova mid-range versus my friend Jeremy on White Aggro. And really quickly, before we get into anything for the match, for all of our subscribers at Opus Gaming, I really appreciate all you guys, and we're going to be bringing back more Digimon testing now that we're finally getting out of BT11 and that NATS format and everything. B212 is just on the horizon, so look forward to some more content for Digimon. For One Piece, we're just like smack dab in the middle of all the competitive stuff for OP 2, and just expect more of that, as well as some Dragon Ball content finally really coming to the channel. So jumping into this match though, we're going to be seeing us going through the mulligan phases. I kept my first hand, so I got the draw, so we're going to be a little bit ahead on hand advantage just kind of straight out the gate. But if you guys have been seeing my content and you guys aren't subscribed, drop a sub down below. You guys already know we're on our way to our first 1,000 subscribers. Leave a like, leave a comment if you're just here to support. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support, so thanks you guys. Getting into my first turn as Red Seagworm, we're just going to play out a Bearded Eagle. It's going to be a pretty good card. He has the option to kind of kill it on turn 1 if he really wants to, but coming out at 3k and then being easy to core up on my next turns, it's actually a pretty decent open. It's not a free summon like I usually like for it to be, but not too bad. Going over to the white player side, we see the automatic gunner I believe, come out for 1, and then we core up. That's gonna be 1 core on each, and we're gonna pass turn after we play out the small mech card. Kind of thinking if there's anything he wants to do, but yeah, no, he's just gonna pass here. There's nothing else you can do. You're out of cores here. So going back over to the Red Seagworm side, we core up, and this turn we're on 5 core finally. Just making sure, yeah. We go up to 5 core on the second turn, and then we go into draw. Looking here, let's see what we end up deciding to do here. I think we do want to develop a board now that we've seen our opponent has two spirits on board. We also want to, oh no, we're gonna Burning Force. I didn't see the Burning Force in hand. That's actually really nice too, because it sets our opponent back a turn. We're not gonna attack because our opponent, even though they're down 2 cards on turn 1, they can still board an additional card here and try to swing to put us on 4. So we just want to be able to defend with the Bearded Eagle here. Going back over to the white player side, losing those 2 bodies is really rough because it loses some of your reduction. You do have the option to kind of play the control game, but Burning Force with the aggro is just like they don't mesh very well, because here you would just rather have another spirit that can help you bounce back a little bit easier, because you don't really get a chance to play the Burning Force. And then we just put all the cores onto the spirit. That's really what white wants to do. It wants to incrementally build a board and make it hard for your opponent to remove bodies, just because the easy removal is really hard for you to bounce back from. So you kind of always want to core up to 4. Going back over to our turn, we're going to set on a burst right away and continue our turn. Here, I think I know what the burst is, but I don't think it's an absolute ice shield this early in the game. Oh yeah, we're just going to core up the eagle. We see that we have the eagle to core up. We have a couple cards that we can play, but we want to save some of our cards in hand for defense. So we're just going to pass it over to our opponent instead of playing another spirit here. Looking at the white player's side, on this turn he is going to want to develop the board, but it's a little bit rough just having 1 reduction and only 4 cards in hand. We see that he has a dead Burning Force and then 2 suppressions, so the suppression will be good here to help him keep spirits on board, because if I enter block phase and he has something that he can just buff really high with suppression, that lets him keep a spirit and delete one of my spirits, so it just kind of keeps him in a pretty good space. But here we see down another automatic gunner. So he's just reset up the same board that he had earlier. We're going to put cores onto them, but we're just going to dump cores here because he can't really go too wide. And we're going to declare an attack here. So automatic gunner swinging in at 4k. I'm definitely going to block with the Bearded Eagle here. And then we see a flash suppression for 2 to boost it by 3k, so it goes up to 7, and they would be trading here. And then kind of thinking about what I want to do here is I suppression myself. So what I do is I go down to 5k naturally, and then plus 3k to bring me up to 8. And then yep, we see, oh no, we're thinking about what we want to do here. Is he going to dump the second suppression and just stay on the Burning Force in hand to get the Bearded Eagle out of here? If he does suppression here, the 2 cores have to come off of the other attacker. So ultimately, Bearded Eagle getting rid of 2 attackers on the same turn is totally okay, because that's what That's what we would be doing with the suppression anyway. It just is unfortunate that we're losing Bearded Eagle here, but that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So, and then it passes back over to us. As long as we get a spirit here, we're in a fine position, but the white player is actually in a pretty bad position here, only having one spirit and one card in hand, being Burning Force. Even if I slam like a Nebula Dragon, I'm in a pretty decent spot here. So instead of slamming a Nebula Dragon, we see a Saga come down. And one thing about this card is it's actually really strong, especially when you're playing the suppression package. But what I didn't realize here is that I should have been trying to get the just the value of the card right away. So what I should do on this turn is actually attack and get my soul core back, just so I have more cores in rotation. And then if I do suppression here, suppression is still like live, but instead of having to wait to activate suppression, I can do it in flash window 1. So getting cores back is cool here, but also it's just also a 3k that my opponent can remove on their main phase. But I don't mind that. If my opponent wants to dump 5 cores on this and they get 1 attack in on this turn, that's totally fine, because I'll just have more cores to make a way more meaningful play on my next turn. So that's really what we're moving to. We have a lot of 6-cost cards in Seagworm, so making it into the mid game comfortably is a really big deal for us. So he's thinking about what he wants to do. He can only make, there's one of 2 plays. Either he puts down he plays the Burning Force instead of putting down the second spirit, which is totally okay with us. He's gonna swing. We don't Dream Bomb it. You just take the damage here. This is the first damage of the game, and our opponent is so low on resources that we're just like coring up. So unfortunately, we do see the suppression here for our top deck, and it would have been a really good card to pair with the Saga. But just paying 4 here for the charge draw to get +1 to our hand size. And then here we're just like a little bit short of playing that Emperor Leon. And then we have 5. I believe there's it looks like we have a Dream Bomb, or is that the suppression that we had before? It looks like the suppression. So we do want to get something on the board so we have some kind of defense, but if we don't play any spirits this turn, it's not going to be very good for us. So, that's unfortunate. So here it's really starting to turn back around to the white aggro player side. Since we didn't play a spirit on that turn, having him be able to put a second spirit down and then get both spirits to attack outside of the Burning Force range is going to be really good for him. For sure going to push 1 damage. On our side, we're going to try our best to stop him from being able to put us down to 2, but we'll see. See the first swing come in. No flash on the red player side, it doesn't look. Or do we have a flash here? You can't suppression without a spirit, so second attack comes in. And we Dream Bomb here, so we did have a Dream Bomb in hand, so we'll just bounce it back to hand. And then that passes over to us. We didn't want to have to burn the Dream Bomb, because if he wanted to for some reason try to defend himself, we did have the confront unit in hand, and that would be just a better way to remove the card. So we didn't flash on the first window there. We just flashed when he was for sure committed. But here we see Emperor Beast come down, and he'll come down. So here's the thing, he does cost 5 on this turn, but he comes down and he just puts all the cores on him. But I can still attack, draw a card, and then defend myself with suppression. And that's actually pretty good here, because we actually really need cards. So as long as it doesn't die on our opponent's next turn, we'll be okay. So that the burst that has been set this whole time, I'm pretty sure is a Starblessed draw, and I'm just waiting for my opponent to Mist Valkyrie my board, and then I'm able to draw 2 and then hopefully get out with like a Absolute Ice Shield or something, but he just never does. So we just keep on seeing Vanillas come down. He's just going to keep on swinging. And with how many cores he has now that we're so late in the game, his cores are just getting dumped. So things like suppression are just perfect for him. It just costs 2 and it won't reduce the attack of any of his cards. So on flash 1 here, we go suppression and we boost Leon. So I believe he drops down to level 1, which is 3k, and he's a 6k right now with the +3. So 3k to his 4k. It should be kind of hard for him, but we go suppression here, pay 2, and that's going to boost him by 3. And honestly here, we're gonna have to take it. So we get the block off, which is really nice. We do stave off our opponent putting us down to 1 on this turn, because we don't have the ice shield in our burst, but we do lose our Leon, which is really rough here. So maybe we see a Nova play on this next turn. But even here, a Nova play without any reduction is really hard. So we haven't been able to stick a Nexus. We haven't seen a Nexus so far. All right, we see. Okay. As long as we're able to keep a monster on board each turn, we see another suppression here. So we just keep suppressing. Our opponent's going to run out of suppressions before we do, because the suppressions are just so much more value on our side. And then, yeah, I think that from here, you don't overextend. You just, yeah, unfortunately, got to drop that Starblast draw. Holding that in hand would have been just so much more useful, like 2 turns ago. Or even, it doesn't matter when you played it, but we would have had access to more cards 2 turns ago when we had to basically pass on the Dream Bomb turn. But here we do have the Gorer, I believe his name is, and we just throw everything on him. He's gonna be sitting at 6k. He's gonna block very well, and I think I've learned my lesson about relying only on suppression. So on this turn, we're just gonna, yeah, we just core up and we're not gonna attack. We just pass it over to our opponent, even though it kind of feels like at this point we are falling behind on how much damage we needed to do to finish up the game. Wrapping up here, you have to remember how many cards our opponent has on in their hand, and like just kind of where they are in their board state. If we can solidify a block into a suppression into an ice shield, we're in a really good position, because we take our opponent from three spirits on board to all the way down to 1, and the 1 that's going to be on board is going to be standing, and Gore is going to confront him. So that's the plan that we're going for. Jeremy is going to play out another. Is that a vanilla? No, that's a mech guy. So it's gonna be the mech guy that protects from destruction effects, and he's just gonna go in here. So pretty simple defensive sequencing here. We're gonna start off with the block to get the DP reduction, or not reduction, but the BP comparison delete going, and then we're gonna follow it up with a suppression right away. Going with the suppression, we're still gonna be at level 5, or I mean level 3 with 5 cores. So we're gonna boost ourselves all the way up to 9k. Yep. And then, I'm sorry, I said that we would absolute ice shield on this turn, but you don't absolute ice shield because you use suppression. Suppression lasts you for the whole turn. It lulls him out of his attacks. So that means that we get an additional turn out of our absolute ice shield, which is a big deal against aggro. And like I said, this turn we're going to be attacking into and clearing that mech guy that he has. So we're starting to really completely take the game. So you do have to do it one step at a time. So we're just kind of like waddling our way through the steps, but we're really definitely getting there. Playing the charge draw here is really good. Getting to draw 2 cards, super nice. But we should have played our Nebula Dragon first if we're gonna play these 2 cards this turn, just because it'll end up costing us 1 less core in the long run, because you'll have the reduction from the Nebula. But it's all good. Maybe we drew it from the charge draw. So here we figure out that Nebula doesn't pop 4Ks like we were thinking initially. It pops a 3K. So his guy's going to be just too powerful for it to pop on play. But that's totally okay, because we're just going to confront it at 5K or confront it at 6K with Nebula. Yep. So we'll swing here, confront. He has no flashes or anything like that. And we're just going to be taking him down all the way out of resources before we give him not necessarily extra cores, because he has so many cores to work with right now. But we don't want to leave ourselves without defenses. So if he summons a chump card, oh, never mind. All of that was not true, because we're going to put him down to 3. We're just looking to end the game then. Knowing he has 1 card going to 2 cards, I think it's just kind of calculating how many attacks he can get. He just really can't finish us with through an absolute ice shield. So, and he scoops on the draw. That makes a lot of sense. That's kind of how that game goes when you kind of get to this space here. We see that he is explaining that he has more of a tempo than just pure aggro, because he's playing the Elkson here. Elkson coming down in this kind of game state when he's floating on a bunch of vanilla guys, and then he just plays the defense game to burn you for the last 2 life, which is really, it makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty cool game plan. It's just really rough when his deck doesn't have draw power. So when you're walling your opponent out of an aggro strategy, something that's been working for me is walling up with tall creatures, and then be able to like kind of win out the war of resource and just kind of resource out your opponent. Take out the amount of cards they have in hand, and then just control the board, win the board from there. So here we're going into game 2, and it looks like we definitely are keeping our mulligan. White on this turn is going to keep their mulligan too, which is a huge thing. And seeing that they were down on cards from the start is definitely going to be one of the factors that is why he unfortunately lost game 1. So here, going into his turn on 5 cores, we see him reading over Saga and seeing if that is the correct play to start out. Here, I think you definitely just want to commit to putting 1 spirit on the board, so you have 1 for sure reduction and then protecting it. you don't really force out attacks or go super wide on the first turn here. We pay 2, and then we realize, yep, definitely got to pay one of them, being the soul core. And sure. So here we play out the automatic gunner. Putting out the second one, that just opens you up to burning force. And if he did attack, I could block here, but let's see if I have the burning force. This is kind of a if they have it moment here for the player. Oh wait, no, I can't. Yeah, I can't burning force for 4. So yeah, I do have the burning force here. I think it's just a lot more worth it for you to wall up, set up your reductions, and just really stop your opponent from getting those free removals on you, because you can always play those cards on the second turn and then start attacking and getting at least a couple attacks through. Let's see what we do here. Going back over to the white player's turn, it was just a burning force pass on our side, as well as setting a nexus here. And he's just kind of thinking about how he wants to set up his reduction for the future. So we are gonna pay 4 for the mech. And then I see he had it looks like he had the fish in hand. I think that was gonna be a little bit more optimal of a play, because you have more reduction going into the future. But this might just be the perfect play, because he can go super wide with those cards on the following turns, since he's not going to be attacking on this turn. Going over to the red player's side, we go into a bearded eagle for our turn, and we do wall up. So instead of holding some of the cores to see if our opponent goes wide for like a second burning force or anything like that, like a volcanic break, we're just going to put the bodies on the board and then hopefully defend from here. It looked, I was holding that card so still, it looked like my camera froze, but I saw Jeremy moving. But just kind of deciding on what to play here. So instead of coring up and defending ourselves super well, we're gonna be a little bit risky here and play the Scorched Battlefield. Here, I think that we could have waited 1 turn to play the Scorched Battlefield and just cored up our eagle. But kind of either way you look at it, there was 1 extra core that was going to kind of go unused. If I cored up my eagle, it was only going to go to 5k for 2 cores, and I had 1 extra core to do nothing with. Or it was play the Scorched Battlefield and take 1 core from the eagle, and I think that was just kind of what I went with. But this lets Jeremy have a turn where he can out aggro me, because I have 1 6k attacker but 1 3k attacker. So if he has 2 4k attacks, he sacrifices 1 body but puts me on 1 body as well. But I do have my nexus here, so I get my reductions. But he is going to just start walling up, so he's just walls up, cores up. It makes it so it's a little bit harder for me to remove some of his bodies, but see, and at this point as well, we're just kind of figuring whether it was worth it to really core up on the battlefield and kind of push some damage. So that's kind of up in the air. We'll see if we are going to push a little bit of damage, or if we're just kind of continue to defend ourselves up. I don't think I have an Emperor Beast Leon or anything like that in hand right now, so there's not too much that the Scorched Battlefield will be doing for me. Deciding on some plays here, and I think we finally settle on, oh yeah, actually no idea how to proceed here, because we don't want to start attacking it. We can put a whole bunch of cores on our spirits, and I actually think that that's a viable way to kind of, yeah, just go through the turn. I realize here, so the reason that we put the cores on our Dinoman is because we're kind of telegraphing that we're thinking about defending with it. We should be putting those cores on the eagle, attacking with the eagle in the same exact situation, having just the soul core and the other additional cores on the eagle, and then leaving Dinoman up so that when our opponent attacks, we can block with the Dinoman and then remove the cores from the eagle and the Scorched Battlefield with the suppression we have in hand for the defensive sequencing. So that's definitely what we're thinking for this turn. But we were just putting the cores on the cards that we were like, oh, well, this is the best blocking card, but that's just the better way to defend here, would be leaving up the Dinoman. He's thinking about blocking here, and I feel like in this situation, you just kind of take the damage. You don't have to really think too much about like defending as the white player, because you don't really have any full defense, and you don't want to sacrifice any of your cores, so you're just focusing on ending the game here. So I get my draw for Scorched Battlefield because he does take the damage, and then it goes into his refresh step, or his core refresh draw, or core draw refresh, sorry. See what we decide to do for the white player's turn. We are going to actually just play out the fish. So this is where we're looking at going wide. He held on the fish here so that he was able to kind of play all these cards out for cheaper / free. And here we're going to start pushing. So everything is at least 3k, and this is where the defensive sequencing was actually really important. Him having everything at 3k means that he can swing with everything, and the worst that he does is trade and take a body off of me. And this is where I really need that 6k Dynoman to be standing first, so I don't have to show my suppression right away. And in this situation, suppression is going to have to come out of my hand straight away. So it nets me less bodies on his side of the board, which leaves him with more resources and more cards, and that's a rough position to be in this late into the game when we haven't made any of our super impactful plays. We haven't seen like a suppression right away. We haven't seen a Secret Worm Nova or even really a good Nebula Dragon play yet, so we're definitely kind of losing the war of attrition. He has less cards than we do, but his cards are making a lot more of an impact, and he's doing a lot more threatening than we are. And here we're gonna see, the Dream Bomb come down. So Dream Bomb comes down, he hits everything. We put all the cores into one place so it's easier to scoop up. He was thinking about hitting the Bearded Eagle, but I told him it's just not even worth it, because you nullify the suppression here, and you don't really worry about just like forcing through the other attacks, right? Because forcing through attacks here, you can still force through a trade with the Bearded Eagle. So definitely rough for me. Swing with the Peke Scion, because he can still block with it. And at this point, we start losing. We've lost so much advantage. We lost our suppression, walling him out for an entire turn, so we didn't get the full defensive measures of suppression. We lost out on kind of removing some of his bodies and stuff. And now we're really looking at trying to make another impactful turn. One of the most impactful things we could do on this turn is dropping a Nova, but I don't think we have the pieces. We haven't drawn enough cards yet in the deck, just because we've been playing so defensively and so passively. So here, making a lot of decisions, kind of trying to plan my turn out before I slam down any cards. My cores are really important here. One thing I haven't done is used Bearded Eagle's really high stat lines. I should be abusing those a little bit more and in a better way. So we're actually putting down another Nexus here. We're thinking that we're gonna for sure survive one more turn, and we want as much draw power to get to our super powerful like Nova play, but we put down another Tyrannoid here. It's gonna have the 2 reduction, so it'll just cost 1 with 1 core on it. I hope I slam everything else on the Bearded Eagle. I think would be good here. Oh no, we're gonna play a third. Yeah, we're pretty scared here, so we're gonna play down the Nebula Dragon. Nebula Dragon's gonna take out one of his spirits, as well as be a 4k blocker, which is a lot better than the 3k blocker that we had before. 1 more core is the perfect amount to put onto the Bearded Eagle to boost it up to 5 and to pass our turn. In that situation, what we would do is just try to trade the Bearded Eagle for a 5k swing, or lose it to a 6k swing, even though it's super difficult. The best thing would be like them swinging 3, blocking 5, and then suppressioning it out, so that our Tyrannoid can go up to 6k on the defense as well. We'll see. This is really dangerous because we're trying to set ourselves up for a big turn on our next turn, but it looks like our opponent's counting how many Nexuses we have and stuff, so that's not a good sign whatsoever, because we have 2. Here we're checking, we saw him count our Nexuses, so we're checking our burst, and I believe that our burst is not an ice shield. So here he's recoring, so we moved some cores around. The core came off of Peke Scion and went on to Derm Dyna, and then Derm Dyna's going to be at 4 cores. He's doing the math to see if his Derm Dyna can swing at level 5 or level 3 with 5 cores, but he ends up just swapping it off. And he swings, I take the damage. He sings the second card that he made unblockable with Derm Dyna's effect, because I have 2 cores. And if I had an Ice Shield any place, even in hand, that was the attack, that was the flash step to use it on. But we did. It doesn't look like we had an Ice Shield in hand. If we did, it was that was a misplay on our side. But, and then we see the regain come down and the flash window of the next one, so it doesn't matter if we block. He pops one of the rested ones, but he just restands his Derm Dyna that's unblockable, and we reveal the Starblast draw. We're really trying to play around that Miss Valkyrie, just because she comes down and she's what really cinches it for white aggro. She comes out and removes your last block, your blocker that you're kind of relying on, and your opponent can really read that. So really trying to get some value out of it, but it's been costing us. It cost us that game for sure, not having the Starburst draw to get us the extra card. So we'll see what if we make any adjustments to our general strategy for game 3. But moving into game 3 here, we got everything set up. Everything is looking good. Neither player is going to mulligan. And I believe as the red player, Seagram going into a Seagram mid-range deck going into aggro definitely wants to go first. So it gives us a chance to play a TerraNova at 6k, so our opponent definitely won't swing, and our opponent definitely can't get high enough even as a 4k to like run us over. So that's like kind of a perfect opener. Yeah, pay 2 for the vanilla guy, boost him up to 5 so he's hard to kill. Maybe he's gonna play down another creature again. Oh, he does play down another creature. Yep, that's gonna be the automatic gunner. Hopefully I have, oh, he has enough cores though that a volcanic break would only pop one of them, or a burning force, I'm sorry, would only pop one of them. So here actually, yeah, we see a misplay here. So we're playing out for the Emperor Gore, and this is a big mistake on our side. So we think that he has confront at level 2, but he is 1 core short of being level 2 with 5k in confront. So we played it out there like he had the 3rd core, but that was super incorrect. So sorry about that. That's just a misplay that we made. I think that this game we were actually pretty late into our playtesting, so we were just a little bit tired and making a couple mistakes with these lists. So. Oh, here we're also discussing one thing that we're talking about was Emperor Beast versus Parasaur, and we were talking about the uses of both of them. And as you guys have seen, I've played a lot of suppressions. So as you can imagine, so the Soul Core is a pretty big part of the cornerstone of it's actually the cornerstone of my defensive, just kind of like my defensive layering with this deck right now. And having a Parasaur where it's really useful and it's really nice getting the extra draw, but there's like a million ways to draw in this deck, and having that one draw, even though it's draw on confront when attacking, it limits how much defense I have. And even if you draw a suppression with your Parasaur, it just feels really bad. So that's the reason that it's not on the list, but that's something that we talk about, and something that kind of comes up a few times while we're playing here. We see a Dream Bomb come down and bounce our last blocker back to hand, and then we see a swing come in, which is totally decent, but that's just 1 damage, and the blocker, or the attacker, is going to come back down. I'm sorry, the blocker is going to come back down, yeah. So we see Dinoman TerraNova come back down, still at 6k, and we're just walling up here. That was 1 turn where he gets the damage off, but he's kind of burning through the cards in his hand, and that's what we want to see. We don't want to see him with very many resources, so the next thing that we want to do is bring down a confront unit and start taking his units out one by one, so he won't be able to attack and he won't be able to defend. And then that's how we're going to be looking to cinch this game 3. So he's kind of going through. He doesn't have too many plays. He can go wide here, but he is going to be thinning himself out on cards, and he's running out of cores to be able to suppression at high attack. So we pay 1 for another vanilla. Vanilla comes down. And kind of just deciding, yep, all the cores on the vanilla, so we for sure have 1 attacker. This might be a bait attack to go into the suppression here, but that's totally fine because we'll just clear the block. Even if the blocker doesn't take the body, if we pull suppression out of his hand, we're actually in a decent position. He has so few cards in hand though that he can't really be aggressive here, and I know that feels like super bad on his side. So we're just gonna continue to kind of get these slow resource accumulation going here, taking it turn by turn, 1 by 1, seeing what he decides to do here. It looks like there's a Nebula Dragon in our hand. We could Nebula Dragon here for 4 and just get rid of the little guy. And then that way we throw away a TerraNova and then the defense, and then we get 1 boosted to 6k right after that, so we can wall out the second attack. And now we have three spirits on the board to his 1 spirit on the board, and we're gonna start taking cards from his hand just like kind of progressively here. So I believe both spirits are at 4k. You could swing confront for 4k, but it's probably just not even worth it. You could even, honestly, one thing I would consider doing too is taking the soul core off of Dynaman and putting it onto Nebula Dragon. I think that would be a feasible play. Let's see what happens here. So we declare attack here. Oh, no, actually, instead of declaring attack with confront, I believe he's at 5k actually. We end up passing turn here because he would just end up killing us, so. Yep, another vanilla with more cores on it. Yep, and then here we see attacks are coming in. Yeah, gonna block with the one with a regular core on it right away. No flash from either player. Swinging in with 5k, and then we are able to block with the 6k with no flash here. No flash, no flash. We declare block with no flash right away after, and then we see a suppression come down. Is there going to be a response from me? So suppression comes down, boosts it to 7k. If I'm able to put down a plus 2k here, yep. Oh, we just decide to Burning Force the 3k now. Which is totally good. That way we don't waste the flash step and we don't waste the cores. We get one body out of the way, so it's still kind of like trading and blocking a body. And we get a suppression out of our opponent's hand, so. Piece by piece, this is just kind of how you attack the matchup, in my opinion. You just kind of go at it slowly. They're not able to recoup as much as you're able to, and you're able to put down some pretty crazy cards going into the late game too. So here you see us. This is just a setup play. What we'll do is we'll boost it to level 2. We're playing the Emperor Beast Leon. We can't pop anything, but more so we're looking for additional draws on our next turn. So we know that we can wall our opponent out on this turn, and we have enough life to kind of protect ourselves. But now we have two medium-sized spirits on the board, and we're really two medium-sized spirits can fight a lot of small spirits. So Jeremy's been on 4 cards in hand for like three turns or so now, and we just kind of keep taking cards from him kind of one by one. And we're also raising the oh, here we see Elk come down though, but we're raising the DP threshold of what we need to do. So Elk comes down here at actually a really cool time. If Elk is to start burning life here, there is going to be a point where he's just going to be able to turn everything sideways, and he'll just have more attackers than I have blockers, and it forces me to respond right away here. So how we respond is actually going to be super important here. And let's see what we do here. Actually, I think we have the Seek Worm in hand. So Seek Worm with 2 reductions is only going to cost 6 right now. So yeah, we're going to play the Soul Core as one of the cores, along with 3 other. Bring down the Seek Worm with 1 core on it right away because you have to for the ruling. Remove the core out from Nebula Dragon. Those go all the way to the trash now. And then we core up to 3 cores. This way, what we're able to do is just pop the board. And I think he's sitting at 6, 2, and 1. So it'll be right up to 8. And that's really rough for him to deal with. So, yep, he's going to take it. With 2 cards in hand here, he draws up to 3. He can either play 3 spirits and get 3 attacks in, or he can play 2 spirits with a regain and get 3 attacks in, but I have 4 life, so I feel pretty confident here to put him. I want to put him in range where I can just end the game on the next turn. I don't really want to have to deal with like a Derm Dyna regain because he's drawn an additional card or additional 2 cards per turn. So we do decide to attack here because this is we attack on this turn because we want to finish the game on the next turn, basically is what I'm trying to say. And even if we can't, we do have the ability to constantly wipe his board with Seek Worm, so that's gonna be a little bit difficult for him to deal with as well. So moving forward, we'll see how if this truly is gonna be the second to last turn. And here's just kind of coming down to a ruling thing. We think that so he's gonna pay 7, played on the Derm Dyna, boosted up to 10k, and he wasn't aware that it was like up to 10k, you know, that I can remove on my turn. So he's just Hail Marrying, hoping that he's going to be able to push some damage the turns after this and clear out one of my small bodies on this turn. But as we know, as long as I'm able to summon another spirit, and yeah, this is what we're talking about. He's like, yeah, you can't kill my guy, right? I'm like, yeah, no, I can. And then as long as I'm able to put out another one, which would be that Seaworm that you saw in hand, pay the 4, play out the Seaworm, and attach it with enough cores, and then yeah, we'll pop on attack. So that's gonna wrap up that match. I think that was a pretty interesting match. The mid-range version of Seaworm plays so much different than the Pterosaur version, and I think that has a pretty interesting matchup definitely into like an aggro strategy. I feel like as long as you're able to wall them out of a few turns, as well as whittle them down on resources, and you just maintain what you're doing, it really just kind of comes down to how early you can get a Seaworm on the board is kind of when you can go for game. But it's just a strategy and kind of an idea that I've been testing out a little bit. So let me know what you guys think about that deck down below. As far as white aggro, I feel like white aggro, that's just like your regular aggro rookie rush style decks. One of the decks where you just kind of learn how to beat it, and then it's going to be kind of consistent all the way through. It doesn't have very many tricks in its bag, so as long as you know all of its tricks and you're able to play around it, I think you'll have a very consistent win rate against white aggro. But if you guys think differently, let me know. Let me know if there's more testing that I need to kind of do against white aggro, or if you guys are interested in testing. That's something that we've been trying to expand more and more, not only just on the channel, but like on our team base. So if you guys were looking for some webcam games, let us know. But this is gonna be Jahmade with Opus Gaming, and I'm out. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. You guys already know. But thanks again for the support. Take care, guys. Peace out.